What's up, everybody? My name's Big Cam and welcome to a collection tour video. If you saw the title and thumbnail, you know what you clicked on. But it's a very exciting milestone for me this weekend. I have now unboxed 50 1/6 scale figures, and that's not including my statues, that's not including 1/10 scale statues, this is all 1/6 scale stuff. 50 figures. My 50th figure just came out yesterday with the Inart Paul Atreides from Dune, and he's sitting next to me here. He looks really, really good. But I figured the best way to do my first 50 figures collection tour, because in the future, probably the next time I do a collection tour will be at the 75 or 100 figure milestone, and at that point it will be too far gone to do the order that I unboxed them in. So I think that's how I'm gonna do it today, and go back to the first figure I unboxed and go all the way through to number 50, and that will be the order on, you know, if you're wondering why the order jumps around a little bit, that will be why, because it's not necessarily just the order of the shelves, and it's not going to be just a quick little video. It's going to be jumping between the character that I started with and then going all the way to episode. So it's going to be starting with the first figure I unboxed and go all the way to Paul Atreides with the Dune 50th figure unboxed. And I already have so many other figures to unbox, just like a teaser, I guess. There is a armored Batman coming in the future, so that's a little tease for you guys. Maybe that will be next week's character, and maybe Black Adam could be next week's for next week's unboxing. Who knows? But I do have a good 20 or so figures under this table here ready to be unboxed at any moment. So more figure unboxings coming in the future. Make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss future unboxings and you get the notifications when they come out. I've been doing 2 unboxings every weekend, so 2 every week for those people that want unboxing videos, and I've been doing movie reviews and other stuff in between if you're interested in the nerdy shit like I am. But let's jump on in to the collection tour with my very, very first figure I unboxed, which would be Vision. Alright, we have my boy Vision here next to Wanda in the display base in the back, I believe he comes with, so you're able to get kind of this nice little dating shelf, if you would, between the couple here. Maybe in the future they'll get moved from here, but I thought this was a good way to fill this shelf for the moment with Vision and Wanda. But Vision here was my very, very first figure I ever unboxed, and at first you can see a little bit of damage in the suit because of the way I posed him. So for the last couple months I've had him more in museum pose like this, kind of trying to repair the suit a little bit, but you can see some spots still have those creases, so definitely want to be careful posing this figure. The second figure I unboxed was Mr. Loki here, and Loki from Avengers Endgame, but he also is kind of from Avengers 1, 2012 Loki, and he comes with the bunch of accessories. He does come with the Tesseract. He comes with a giant staff and the bendy horns as well. I repped him looking like that for a while, but since I got this Thor, I decided to put him in that pose from the end of Avengers 1 where he takes him back to Asgard and puts him in jail. So he's got, you know, the handcuffs on and the little muzzle around his mouth. Just for the sake of the collection tour, Vision might have been my first figure unbox, but the thing that started all of this was I bought this Daredevil statue, and it was a sideshow collectible Daredevil comiquette, you know, exclusive statue, and it looked really, really good, and it was just lonely back here, so I was like, it kind of needs a friend, right? So then I started getting figures and putting figures around him, and this room used to be filled with Legos, like Lego Star Wars shelves over here, and this whole room used to be Legos, and now it's got this big old collection of Hot Toys and statues and all types of stuff. But yeah, that all started because of that Daredevil statue right there. After Loki, I actually did 2 1/10 scale figure unboxings of the Vision, Halloween Vision, which I actually do like that outfit, but 1/10 scale, not necessarily the biggest of figures, but they still display kind of nice, so I have them over here tucked under this little end table, but Quicksilver there looks really cool. But yeah, those came after Loki and Vision with another 2 1/10 scale things, but those are my only 1/10 scale statues at the moment, and probably not going to be getting any in the future, but if I do, there's one other spot for one right there. So currently my only 3 Star Wars figures at the moment, but the next 2 1/6 scale figures that got unboxed were the deluxe Boba Fett figures, and one of them comes with the full battle armored, suit with the jetpack and flamethrower and, full helmeted look. And then he comes with a Tusken Raider look. I actually really like the bases. The little broken helmet that it came with, the staff, the gun on his back, that Boba Fett head sculpt looks really good. We'll talk about that General Grievous more in a moment when we get to his figure, but not my favorite figure, but this is the extent of my Star Wars collection at the moment, and if I ever expand that in the future, these guys will get moved upstairs, but currently in my living room. Next up, after the 2 Boba Fetts, we have guarding the comic books, the Iron Man from Mysterio's Illusion from Spider-Man Far From Home. And this figure does look really sick, but it's not necessarily Tony Stark. So for, when I had it as one of my first figures, I was like, I don't know, it doesn't necessarily belong to any movie, but it does look really sick. And, it's not Tony Stark, but it kind of is Tony Stark. It can get complicated. But it still looks really cool, and that base does light up. The green lights up around the base there, and it does have some light up features in the actual body himself. But just the battle damage on this guy is crazy. Like, look at that head sculpt. It looks absolutely nuts. Yeah, not a bad looking figure. I actually accidentally bought 2 of these and gave it to the other one to my sister because she's a big Iron Man fan and Halloween fan. So I got to go help her set this bad boy up for her Halloween decorations this year. So after doing Zombie Iron Man, I got another Iron Man because as I was unboxing that figure, I was like, damn, it's not really Tony Stark, and I kind of want a Tony Stark. So I got the best Tony Stark, in my opinion, the Mark 85 with that great battle damage suit and head sculpt and the snapping figure gestured look and the way that you can get him in his final Endgame pose. And I have him with the other Endgame Big 3 on the top shelf up here. Very, very cool figure. One of my favorites in the collection. After Iron Man, Mark 85, then I unboxed a big old wonderful statue of that Superman statue there, and I really love the way that cape looks, the way it pops off the shelf, the way that it just implies so much motion heading upwards as if he's flying, soaring away, the build on him, the actual ripped riblets there. I mean, he's got 48 abs right there. You can't even tell me he doesn't. Definitely one of my best in the collection and one of my favorite statues and best statues I've ever seen. That is, I believe, the Mythos Superman 1 of 1,000. But after Superman, then came Gladiator Thor, which is an absolute beast of a figure, and I absolutely love him. I love that he comes with, the battle damaged war paint on his face. He comes with the helmet as well, a giant shield. And then I did Gladiator Hulk behind him, which definitely is, maybe I can say this definitively because he's been my favorite character for a long time, Mr. Hulk. I have a lot of favorite characters, but Hulk has always been up there as one of my big 3, if not top 5, characters. And this look in particular for Hulk is the best Hulk has ever looked in any of his live action appearances. I mean, maybe people like Professor Hulk, not me. This is my Hulk. Not just green, wearing ripped shorts either. He's got battle garb. He's got this gladiator shoulder armor. He's got a giant axe. He's got a giant hammer. He's got a skirt. He's got shoes. He's got a mohawk. He's got war paint. Like, dude, this guy is sick. I couldn't be happier with that Gladiator Hulk. One of the best additions to my collection. And after Gladiator Hulk came Wanda, and she's not my favorite figure, definitely not my favorite Wanda either. I think I'm going to have to get the Civil War Artisan Edition Wanda, or maybe Infinity War, whichever one it is. But she is definitely one of the scariest, most powerful characters, the Scarlet Witch in the MCU. And I'm a sucker for a love story, if anybody knows me. So the couple here of Vision and Wanda,
I desperately want to see back together again, and I just want to see them kiss one more time. I just want to see them in love, you know? I don't want to see the heartbreak, you know, that has happened after the fact. I just want to see them love. But that's not good storytelling, but it would make me feel good. But Wanda is very cool, and she could be dead, but I don't think so. She'll probably be back, whether it's in Avengers Doomsday or Vision Quest or whatever else is coming next. I think with the X-Men coming into the MCU, Wanda's character is going to be very pivotal going forward into the future. After Wanda came the 1/6 scale General Grievous, and he was actually free. And this is the 1/6 scale Sideshow General Grievous. I believe there's a 1/6 scale Hot Toys General Grievous that is yet to release, but is available to order right now. I might have to get that one. It's not like this General Grievous cost me money, but if the Hot Toys is even slightly better than this one, it will be such a better experience. Although the General Grievous, as you're looking at it, looks pretty good, the actual sturdiness of him is terrible. That display base is barely holding him up. The slightest breeze, this guy could tip over, and getting him to get to that position was a nightmare. Honestly, my least favorite figure in the entire collection would go to Mr. General Grievous here. Not necessarily a bad character, just the Sideshow General Grievous figure, not a good figure, and it was free for a reason. You know, they sent it to me for free, you know, because I, you know, had bonus points or whatever, rewards points, and I could redeem them to get a free figure. And I was like, why not? It's free. It's not going to cost me anything. It cost me effort, time, and mental pain, because this guy was a nightmare to put together, and to get to that position right there was a nightmare. So that guy will be staying until maybe Hot Toys General Grievous comes out and I can replace him. And as soon as that happens, goodbye Sideshow General Grievous. Shout out to Graphic Coles. She did the artwork down here that I bought off of her, and they look really good. But after General Grievous, I thought it was time for another statue. So I got this Comiquette Red Hulk statue from my local comic book shop, and same place I got the Daredevil statue, and this would be my second statue, and it was really cool. The second full-size statue. I still have the two little 1/10 scales over there, but very, very cool looking figure. And if you guys don't also know me, I love gnomes, so I have gnomes like everywhere, and my roommate got me that as a Christmas present last year, and this actually lights up. Yeah, proof that Tony Stark has a heart, and it kind of pulses. Very cool. There you go. But very cool statue nonetheless, and that guy is absolutely ripped, and he's huge. So right now, he's the centerpiece in my living room. This shelf I'm very happy with, but I'm not happy with that white space above, so I will be adding some elevation to this shelf in the next coming weeks, because I do believe that the Wolverine from Deadpool and Wolverine should be shipping any day at this point, and I can't wait to have Hugh Jackman's, you know, yellow and blue Wolverine suit next to Deadpool here in his perfect red with the gold accents, the gold Desert Eagles. Don't necessarily love the display base, but the actual figure himself is amazing, and I love that there's so many figures coming from Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, eventually I will have an entire Deadpool and Wolverine shelf with Ladypool, Nicepool, Kidpool, the Anarchy Avengers with Blade, and maybe they'll eventually do Elektra and Gambit, but they are 100% doing Blade, Johnny Storm, Chris Evans, Human Torch. They're doing multiple different Wolverines, the, you know, Feral Wolverine from Age of Apocalypse, the brown and yellow suit Wolverine, the TVA suit Wolverine. So they're doing all these different Deadpool and Wolverines, and I can't wait to have them all displayed near each other. X-23, you know, like, it's going to be awesome. But maybe won't fit on one shelf, so maybe they'll have to take over two shelves, or maybe they'll take over a whole row. But loved Deadpool and Wolverine, and really love the way that this shelf is looking, and that Deadpool and Wolverine figure looks awesome. If there was one figure I could recommend getting into out of all of the figures in my collection for like a first figure, if you were trying to get into this and you didn't know where to start, I'd say Deadpool is a great starting point. The figure unboxes well. It comes with a great amount of accessories, so you can have fun posing. His posability, his flexibility is great. The, you know, expressions on his face, you can get very expressive and very emotive, and, you know, have a lot of fun unboxing this figure just like I did. And I think it's a great way to get into the Hot Toys collection. If you are looking to start, this is a great figure to do that. And this is the clean suit, not the battle damaged suit. I also have the battle damaged Deadpool on the way with the Logan skeleton from the beginning of the movie. I can't wait to see that in person as well. But Deadpool, definitely a great character, and definitely more Deadpool stuff will be happening in the future. This Spider-Man display is a little jam-packed, but the next figure on the list that got unboxed was the integrated Spider-Man suit. Definitely like my centerpiece of Spider-Man here with the gold emblem on his chest. I really like this suit and the display base that he comes with the Doc Ock tentacle arms and just like the sand and like the tower. Yes, it comes with a flight pole, but it's one of the few suits that I don't mind using the flight pole for, and just love the way that that figure was able to pose. And then after Spider-Man, I unboxed the PlayStation 5 Spider-Man 2 video game Venom, and he's out back there stretching corner to corner of this shelf with his big old claw hands and a little bit of Venom effects there behind Green Goblin. You can see him dangling. I think I took the Venom effects off his left arm, but oh, actually, they fell off. They're down there. I was like, wait, what happened to those? Nope, they fell off by themselves, and they're over there. But I also was planning on maybe raising up Venom just a little bit to cover in that gap just a little bit more and just see a little bit more of that chest from behind Spider-Man. But either way, I think this is a very, very good looking shelf. And Venom back there with Goblin and Daredevil and having all of the Spider-Man adjacent figures on one shelf really feels good. But I have more Spider-Man figures that need to be unboxed, so this shelf's going to need to make some room very soon. So I'm going to have to get tighter, get changing with elevation, because there's no elevation changes on this shelf. It's just their display bases that are doing that. You know, like this display base brings him up, Green Goblin's glider brings him up, Venom's just that big, you know, he's still standing on the ground back there. Spider-Man's base brought him up, you know, like the only one that's actually at the proper height that these figures would be at is a third-party figure. But come on, I absolutely love that suit too. But Venom back there with that tongue, so creepy, but one of the best looking big figs I've seen. And you can actually get some poses off with him, so very cool. And that figure's awesome. You need a Venom that looks like this in your collection. But comment below your thoughts. Should I get the Venom from the Tom Hardy Sony Venom movies? You know, like he's not as big, but he's certainly, you know, more of a character than, say, a video game, you know, played by an actor that I really like, Tom Hardy. So you'd get more of a Tom Hardy Venom head sculpt. But I don't necessarily love how that Venom looks in that movie. You know, like the Venom from the PlayStation game with the white Spider-Man logo on the chest looks really good, and just the size of him looks better. I don't know. I think that might be the Venom I keep, and I might not ever get the Tom Hardy Venom. The next figure that got unboxed was the Bucky Barnes from Falcon and Winter Soldier. And just looking at the character here, you're like, wow, that head sculpt looks pretty good. I don't know why people hate this figure. And then you look at the body for longer than you should, and you're like, wait a second, why is his left arm and his left side and like his left shoulder look huge? But then what happened to his right shoulder? Like, this guy's supposed to be a super soldier. Why is his body not jacked like Sam Wilson's or Cap's or the other Caps? Like, his body didn't get the love it needed. The arm looks okay, but it actually doesn't pose very well. It's very stiff, like that joint in the elbow, very stiff. But, you know, I still love the character, but the actual figure himself, not the best figure Hot Toys has ever done with this Bucky Barnes. After Bucky, we got the Spider-Man homemade suit, and the homemade suit, it is what it is. It's very posable and, you know, very cloth, so you're not going to damage the figure over time doing some crazy poses. But the head sculpt's not my favorite. I was thinking about switching the Tom Holland head sculpt onto the homemade figure, but the blue stuff around the base I don't love either. But the actual giant Stark Tech drone looks awesome, and I love that you can pose the figure on top of him like that. Comes with a little bit of blue webbing. Yeah, not a bad looking figure. And then after the homemade suit, I dove into the stealth suit, and you can see down there that you still have his mask for the stealth suit, and you can flip open those eyes that kind of have like goggles but pretty much an all-black shield outfit, and Tom Holland's head sculpt looks really, really good with this figure, even though I think that head sculpt came with the integrated suit Spider-Man, but at that time, I really wanted a masked Spider-Man in the collection, so that's probably still my best-looking Spider-Man, but best-looking Tom Holland's head sculpt for sure. I honestly wouldn't mind, like, a battle-damaged head sculpt from No Way Home. That would probably look really good. Next up, Stan Lee got unboxed from his barbershop. Stan Lee from Sakaar from Thor Ragnarok, and he's there next to Thor as he's judging him, looking at him like, I can't believe you cut my glorious hair. And you can see his, like, Rapunzel locks there and his giant, space hair cutter. Very cool. I thought I needed at least a Stan Lee in the collection, and I thought this was a pretty funny one. So yeah, he's over here with Gladiator Thor standing in front of Gladiator Hulk, with him looming in the background. I think that actually works out quite well. And then after Stan Lee, I got the Avengers 2012 Thor, and this was a bit of an aftermarket figure, but I do love the hammer is real die cast and the little Tesseract cube storage device and how it pairs up with the Avengers Loki from Avengers Endgame with the handcuffs. I really like this look. I really like this figure a lot. Although it is a very, very old figure, the cape isn't the best, the joints are pretty weak, but the actual look of him looks pretty great. Not my best Thor, that would probably be that Thor there, or maybe Bro Thor, but still a perfect example of the blonde Thor from Avengers 1. And after 2012's Avengers Thor, I did 2012's Avengers Cap, and I got both of those figures from my local comic book shop. They had them for sale, and I was like, you know what, I gotta jump on it. And I love this guy's battle damage shield, love his body that he has. He's super thick, his calves are huge, his thighs are huge, his shoulders, his arms are huge. The actual body for this is pretty impressive. You know, you can tell how they started to upgrade the bodies as they started to go, but this is a very, very cool looking Captain America. Maybe not the best 2012 Avengers cap. They did do a 2.0 Avengers Endgame 2012 Avengers cap. That would probably be the one to get. This older one is still pretty good though. If you do have the opportunity to get this, maybe you get this one and the other one, and then you set up that scene with, that is America's ass. But after 2012 Avengers Cap, I did Bro Thor, who comes with that glorious braided beard, long hair, big old fat gut, almost like the same exact scaly outfit from Avengers 1, but now just fully blacked out, where it's got black pants, black vest, black scales instead of silver scales. Still got Mjolnir, but now it's not a die-cast weapon, so it's not so heavy in the character's arms, and he's still able to hold both Stormbreaker and Mjolnir at the same time. Very, very cool figure. Probably my favorite Thor, if it's not Gladiator Thor. I never forget seeing big fat Thor and being like, he's one of us! But after I did Bro Thor, the Darth Vader 1/5 scale Mythos statue came in, and it's not the light up version, but it is a very, very cool statue. It comes with a couple of different head sculpts, and I go all through this statue in an unboxing video if you guys want to check that out. But then after Darth Vader in that beautiful swooping cape, I love how I have him, lifted up on some boxes there, so he's kind of tucked behind Superman a little bit. Really like the way that those two look next to each other, but Darth Vader might get demoted or moved in the future, although Superman I don't think will. But after Darth Vader, we unboxed the Endgame Captain America, which might be the best Captain America available, and really, really great scale, really, really looks good. The hammer, I think you need the hammer, the cracked shield, the broken shield elements down by his feet, the scale of the figure, the posability of the figure, the Chris Evans likeness, even though he's wearing a helmet, and the unhelmeted mask looks really good too, but the mask looked so good that I had to put the mask version. But yes, definitely 3 of my favorite figures. The Avengers Endgame shelf looks really good. Then I unboxed the white-suited Black Widow from her own Black Widow solo movie. In this suit, I wasn't so sure if posing it would leave it really damaged. I mean, I bent that arm like one time, and you can already see the crazy wrinkling in that arm. So yeah, I have her more in a stoic, museum pose. But Black Widow base looks pretty good. The emblem on her belt, the all-white suit looks pretty good with the red hair, and the actual head sculpt looks pretty good. But I'm thinking about getting that artisan Black Widow from Iron Man 2. That suit looks really good. The navy blue with the artisan hair, that might be a must get. But after Black Widow, I unboxed Shang-Chi from the Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and that is a very cool figure as well. As you can see, he doesn't have his crotch grabber or anything holding him up, so he is pretty sturdy on his own, even with the giant fire effects on either wrist. I probably should change that figure up pretty soon, just so his wrists don't get damaged over time from posing with that element there. I don't think they would, but they could. But Shang-Chi nonetheless should have gotten a sequel a long time ago, and I can't wait to see him in Avengers Endgame and maybe Spider-Man 4. But yeah, very cool figure, comes with a lot of accessories, and those 10 ring elements look awesome. After Shang-Chi, I unboxed Kate Bishop Hawkeye, and I really love her bow and her suit, and I really love that character. Haley Steinfeld is awesome, and she comes with a bunch of arrows, trick arrows and stuff, so yeah, very cool character, very cool, comes with a crotch grabber base, always a plus. You know, I like the crotch grabbers way more than the flight pole waist grabbers, and they just work, you know, nice and easy and secure. That figure's never fallen over, and it never freaking will. You know, I love that. And then after Hawkeye, I decided to do her mentor, which is the Ronin Hawkeye from Avengers Endgame. And I almost kind of want to get a second version of this suit, because this is the deluxe version where you have the Ronin outfit. But if you get the standard version, it comes with just a really good looking Clint Barton head sculpt, and could look awesome next to this figure. But I have another Hawkeye that I've been meaning to, you know, unbox pretty soon. So, you know, maybe that will come out fairly soon, and we'll have 2 Hawkeyes in the collection. But I thought this shelf was a really good shelf so far, although you can see it, there's plenty of room for expansion. Having, you know, Hawkeye in the middle there and his 2 gal pals to the right and left of him with Hawkeye and Black Widow. Really love that. I can't wait to get the Yelena in from Thunderbolts. Yelena from Black Widow's figure looked pretty ass, so yeah, I'm gonna wait until the Thunderbolts one comes in, and she'll go right in between those 2 bad boys right there. She'll be next to Clint, she'll be next to Black Widow, she'll be next to Kate Bishop, you know, so really love how this shelf's gonna look in the future, and I have big plans for expanding this shelf. So after Ronin Hawkeye, I unboxed the Captain America, Sam Wilson's Captain America from Brave New World. And I love how this shelf's looking so far, with, you know, a little bit of who could be on Sam Wilson's Avengers and Avengers Doomsday, with Shang-Chi on the shelf. You know, you got Bucky on his left. On Cap's left would be Sam, and you have, you know, Avengers 2012 Cap. I really like the way that that figure looks, although I think the bird thing, I think, is supposed to be sitting up a little higher. I think it fell down, and there was a little piece from his backpack that fell off, and I just haven't put it on yet. But yeah, still a really good looking figure, and I love how this fits on the shelf, wing to wing, fully stretched out, not touching either side. Just barely not touching either side, you know, that's a miracle. And then after Sam Wilson's Captain America from Brave New World, I did the Star Spangled Man version of Captain America from Captain America the First Avenger. And this is one of my favorite caps because he comes with a bunch of accessories. He's got his shield that has notes on the back of it from his days working as a showboat pony, if you know what I mean. He's got a banderola around his chest. He's got like a satchel. He's got like an axe hanging off his hip. He's got a pistol. He's got, you know, a big old Tommy gun, you know, like that's cool as hell that Captain America has a gun, you know, not really his style once he gets to Avengers 2012, but in World War II or whatever the fuck, when he was fighting the first one, he was a beast. I really love to see that. You know, I still kind of want the leather jacket Captain America from the first Avenger. One of my favorite looks, one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite characters, and really loving the way that the Captain America shelf is coming together, and hopefully I'll be able to expand this in the future as well. So I've been working a lot lately on this DC shelf over here, and this one that started most of it was the bank robbing Joker back there. I believe that's the 2.0, and I believe they're coming out with a 3.0 bank robbing Joker pretty soon, and I actually pre-ordered that, so maybe this figure will get demoted in the future, but for now it still looks really good. The only downsides are the base is really big. It's a giant diamond base, and that little display bus backdrop behind him does take up quite a bit of space. So if I want to fit more figures in here in the future, I'm going to have to take that, giant diorama thing behind him out of here and probably, maybe not display him with his giant base or figure out a way to not take up so much space with him. But still a really cool figure, although I wish it came with a better rooted hair head sculpt of just the Joker, but the mask looks really good. I wish you could take off the mask, though, and just hold it in his hand. But then after the Joker, I did the Batman Begins Batman, and I really love Christopher Nolan's Batman, and that first movie is really great. But that suit itself, not the best. It's very rubbery, not the best posing. I put up that arm for 1 second. You can see all the rubber damage on the elbow there on the right arm. So definitely want to be careful posing that suit if you're going to. But, still depicts Batman Begins Batman pretty well, but not the best Christopher Nolan Batman. That would still probably be DX19 back there. But after those two DC figures, I took a break for a moment and did the Wolverine from the Wolverine movie. And I really liked that this guy came with two different, outfits. And although it was a pain in the ass to get that outfit on, the actual suited look looks amazing. And I love that I have an almost Wolverine, John Wick-esque type of character with the suit and the Wolverine head sculpt. I think looks pretty damn good. I like the hair and then the metal claws. I think those are real die-cast claws, a real die-cast Japanese sword with Japanese writing on it. Very, very cool. I love the little tassel there on the sword as well. Kind of reminds me of Ghost of Tsushima. Really, really cool figure, and very much so going to look awesome next to a bunch of other Wolverines once I get him, because he's one of my favorite characters for sure. But after Hot Toys Wolverine from the Wolverine, I did a Skeleton Knight, a Present Toys third-party unboxing for a Ghost Rider figure. And I will say the jaw joint in his head is pretty loose, but the actual figure itself looks awesome, and the leather suit is immaculate. Oh, it is so perfect that will never, tear or fade or, rip open like pleather or anything like that. That is real leather. It looks really good. And I love the way that he's looking down at us on the top shelf and the shadow behind him of that hair on when the light hits it. It's so cool. And, just the spikes on his gloves and gauntlets, the chain going around him. Yeah, Ghost Rider is a sick character and he needs to return to the MCU ASAP. I really love the way that those two look on the top shelf, but moving back to the middle shelf, the next figures I did after Ghost Rider and Wolverine was Ladypool and Cable. And Ladypool's suit looks really good in not just a Deadpool, body, anything like that. It's a whole different body. It's got high heels. It also comes with a dog pool. Very sturdy figure. I like the hair that she comes with, the two Uzis. Very cool looking figure, and you could probably pose up him and Ladypool together in all types of crazy poses. And, I love that they have that, and you can now have this whole Deadpool family together. And then Cable, although he wasn't in Deadpool and Wolverine, and he should have been, comes with that amazing, ginormous gun, and comes with the time travel device around his hand, and that cape, and the poncho. Comes with so many accessories, but that metal arm looks really good. And one of my favorite figures, honestly, just because of how many accessories he comes with and the fact that you can store most of them on him while he's standing there. Very cool figure. Cable, highly underrated in my mind. Next up, after Ladypool and Cable, I did another aftermarket figure, and that would be Flashpoint the Garter, they called him, and which would be Tobey Maguire's 2002's Spider-Man in his wrestling suit. And I honestly loved this outfit so much growing up. I always wanted that shirt I feel like I still could get that shirt myself, but always very cool long sleeve shirt. And, you know, just the wrestling attire, the fact that he wrestles Randy Savage is freaking amazing. But the baby blues and that head sculpt, I think it looks really good as a figure, but the actual body and like functionality, the flexibility of that figure, not so great. I mean, you can see his left arm, you know, won't stick down, so it keeps popping up. You know, like it should sit like that, but for some reason it keeps popping up. It is what it is. It still looks pretty cool. But after the Tobey Maguire, I went to my favorite Iron Man suit, at least the one that I have so far. I mean, Mark III is probably my favorite, but this would be Mark VI. It does come with some battle damage features. I have him more with like a clean look with the Tony Stark head sculpt on, with the mask flipped open. He is flipping us off because he is Iron Man, but I just loved that I was able to sneak his base just under the Superman statue there, so he has just enough room to fit into that one corner spot right there, and I think he fits perfectly. And I wish that gantry was more 1/6 scale sized, but maybe I will get an Iron Man with the full gantry in the future. Next up, after Iron Man, I did a absolutely gorgeous figure of the Green Goblin figure, which is the Green Goblin from Spider-Man 1 from 2002, but this figure is said to be from Spider-Man No Way Home, although we only see this Green Goblin like this for like literally 1 second. But he does actually have another version of his suit in like more of a battle damaged, creepier, crazier Norman look from No Way Home. I might get that one as well, but it comes with the same glider, so I don't know, maybe this Green Goblin's perfectly fine for me. I think I just need now a Tobey Spider-Man to pair up with it. But right after Green Goblin, I did the battle damaged Spider-Man figure from No Way Home. And this is the battle damaged upgrade suit, or not battle damaged, just battling version, because it's not battle damaged, but it does have a little bit of battle worn weathering on it. And you can see it a little bit on his chest there with like the black soot, a little bit on his face as well. And I have him just kind of angry with his angry eyes holding the Machina di Cadava, and the base that he comes on is very cool and very big, and you know, I think he stands on it kind of well, even without a crotch grab or anything holding him up. You know, very impressed with that figure's posability and the way that that statue's at a crazy angle, and yet he was still able to stand on it. Very cool figure. Maybe my best Spider-Man in the collection. After Spider-Man, I went and did the boy King Shark here. He's demoted down to the bottom shelf, but he is one of my only The Suicide Squad figures, and King Shark, not the best figure, not the most posable, but still a big, cute, giant boy. And after King Shark, I did my boy Peacemaker here, and the only reason he's really on this shelf and not another one is because the last 5 or 6 weeks we've been breaking down the Peacemaker TV show, the season 2 of Peacemaker, and I did season 1 recaps and all of that, and all the videos and breakdowns for Peacemaker season 2 are currently on the channel now. And if you are into Peacemaker and you want to hear somebody that's a big fan of this stuff chat more about it, and I would love to chat about it with you, go check out those videos or message me on my other social medias talking about Peacemaker. And we have 3 weeks remaining for that, or maybe 2 weeks remaining after this video comes out. But episodes 7 and 8 seem like they're going to be insane, so I can't wait to see that. And there's also a second Hot Toys Peacemaker out with a John Cena head sculpt in a jetpack, and I also ordered that figure, so stay tuned for a future Hot Toys unboxing of Peacemaker 2.0. And I love Peacemaker and the fact that he comes with Eagly, but the Man of Steel Superman MMS 200, which comes with this amazing display base. It's huge, it's a diamond, but it's got the giant Superman logo on it. I really liked it, but there is some battle damage on this suit, and it's not the best suit. You know, looking in person or on camera, it doesn't look so bad, but up close and personal in person, there's a bunch of little spots on this figure where like the suit got stuck to itself and ripped or damaged, or like the suit got stuck to the cape and got damaged. You know, just be wary if you're looking to buy an older Superman figure like this. There could be damaged problems with the suit, where I have another Superman that is absolutely perfect. But before we see that Superman, one of my favorite Batmans is the Robert Pattinson Batman, and his figure is pretty great. The cape on the figure sucks, but the head sculpt, the Robert Pattinson head sculpt, looks so good, and I love this movie so much, honestly. The Batman Part 2 cannot come soon enough, and, you know, the figure is demoted down to the bottom shelf with the bat signal there, but it is a really cool figure and will probably get raised up in a more prominent position in the future. I really love the way this figure looks, but I have some other figures that I've unboxed more recently that I just like more than it. And that would have to include this Superman from Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. And this is my first Inart figure. The second I purchased, but the first that I was able to unbox because the other one hadn't come in yet. And I was able to get this figure for a pretty decent price from my local comic book shop. And very, very cool. I love the clear flight pole that snaps into his back and doesn't clip onto his waist, damaging the suit. I love that little feature. The base has magnets in his feet, so also another little cool feature. There's magnets in his hand so that mask will never fall out of his hand. That's a pretty cool feature as well. The head sculpt isn't the best, and like the skin tone isn't the best, but that little curly cue on that angry-eyed head sculpt does look really good, and it came with a bunch of accessories like the staff. You know, I was very impressed with this Inart figure and still am, you know, and really like this figure a lot, and probably will be my best Superman in the collection, maybe until I get the Hot Toys James Gunn Superman of David Cornsweet, but who knows, until I get to see that figure in person, this could be my best Superman figure. So this is a more recent figure, but still just closing out the collection tour here. The most recent of the Batman that is the Christopher Nolan Batman that I really love. This would be the DX19 Batman. And I think for as far as Christopher Nolan Batmans go, this might be the actual peak for those figures. And I love the base, I love the figure, it displayed well, it came together pretty well. Although the cape isn't the best, I heard some people say that the cape upgrades for this and the cowl upgrades for this are even better. I might eventually look into that in the future when I maybe get into customizing figures. At the current moment, I have no customs, so I'm just leaving them as is, you know, how they came. And this DX19 Batman is very impressive, and right now he's up in the top corner, taking up space and looking prominent. But after DX19 Batman, I went ahead and just was on a Batman kick and started doing a bunch of more DC figures. And I went ahead and did the Val Kilmer Batman from Batman Forever in his sonar suit. And not the best suit, not the best Batman movie, but I will say I highly love those movies. And the more I watch them and the more I've seen them recently, the more impressed I am with them. And their villains are great, but the actual suit, like say then the next suit that I did was the Robin suit, that red with the Robin logo on his chest, the gold accents, the black cape with the yellowish, goldish underlay of the cape. Like, they just did a really good job. Those movies feel so comic booky and so ahead of its time. Like, I don't know, people hated on it in the moment, and like people can still hate on them and all they want, you know. Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, the bat nipples on the suit, you know, not the best look, but very campy, very comic booky, very, you know, of its time, very what these characters are, you know. Like, I think they're better movies than people like to give them credit for, but definitely two very cool figures. But even cooler, they're two villains, Two-Face and the Riddler in front of them. And I think Mars Toys Riddler is pretty good. It comes with some great accessories, the outfits, the head sculpts aren't the best, but the actual accessories and everything that he comes with is pretty cool. But the Mars Toys Two-Face is absolutely perfection. The guns, the accessories, the two-toned suit, the head sculpts, the Tommy Lee Jones Two-Face, the Tommy Lee Jones Harvey Dent. Oh, this figure is so amazing. And these two villains from Batman Forever are so unhinged, but so perfect. Like, honestly, two of the best villains Batman has ever had in live action is these two crazy psychopaths here. But I just unboxed these two figures not too long ago, and just last week I did the
Deadshot from Suicide Squad, the first movie, and his figure is actually pretty damn good, and I love the amount of accessories he comes with. I really like the white masked head sculpt as well, but the Will Smith head sculpt looks pretty damn good, so I just repped him with that for now. In the diorama base behind him, he's down on the bottom shelf with King Shark and Battinson, and, you know, maybe eventually Peacemaker and the other Suicide Squad members will end up down here. But for the time being, we got Deadshot, King Shark, and the Batman. Not necessarily three figures that go together, but not a terrible shelf.
And definitely one of the best in my collection, and one of my favorite new additions to the collection is this 2.0 Batfleck from Batman v Superman. And the first version I was looking at on eBay, and I was like, I kind of need a Batfleck. And then, you know, I couldn't pull the trigger because I didn't really love how the figure looked. And in the same week, this 2.0 Batman dropped, and I was like, oh, I think I need to get myself this 2.0 Batman, especially after getting this Inart Superman. I was like, damn it, now that I actually have a Henry Cavill figure that I like, I need to get his Batman to stand next to him, right? And now that I have the two of them, now I want to get Wonder Woman and Aquaman and Cyborg and The Flash, even though they're not my favorite characters, just to fill out the DCEU, Zack Snyder's Justice League lineup, you know what I mean? And the fact that we're going to be getting a new DCU going forward with James Gunn, and those are all new figures that should be coming in the future, you know, might as well start doing a DC collection of the old figures I like, whether it's Batman Forever, Christopher Nolan's Batman, all the way into Snyderverse's Batman, you know? So not a whole lot of DC before James Gunn's Superman. So at least the stuff that's out that I liked, I might start collecting. So yeah, that's kind of why I started doing some more DC stuff, because I am a fan of DC and Marvel. But I feel like at the current moment, I have way more DC than I do Marvel, but maybe that will change in the future, or maybe it will be more of a 50-50 split going forward. But I don't know, I feel like it's pretty good 50-50 split at the moment. And maybe not so 50-50 split. I have 34, so I have 34 Marvel 1/6 scale figures. That's probably about right? Yeah. Or 33, and then one other would be this Inart Paul Atreides over here that we'll take a closer look at in a second. But wow, 50 figures in this collection. I can't believe how it's grown so fast already. And then I have this Paul Atreides that you guys may have seen yesterday in an unboxing video. I really like that I put him in this little booth here, and you can see that if I hit on, oh, and then it like cycles through lights, and then it lights up in like this Dune light before giving me its like white color. Yeah, that figure looks sick. If you want a closer look at him, go check out yesterday's unboxing. I really appreciate you guys sticking around and taking in this Hot Toys unboxing tour and this collection tour. I mean, most of the collection you can see just in this shot right here, but there is more downstairs. There's more on the bottom shelf down there, and there's room to expand. I still have the Avengers Tower and Daily Bugle that could move. There's Lego Batman stuff on the bottom shelf that could move. There's an entire Lego Star Wars shelf that could move in the future, so who knows? The Hot Toys expansion should be going further and further in the future, but I'm trying to max out the space I have already before I start demoting more stuff out of the room. But at the current moment, we have 50 Hot Toys, or, well, not all Hot Toys. There is 2 Inart figures. There is 2 aftermarket figures that aren't Hot Toys or Inart, you know, like a third-party figure with the Ghost Rider and the Spider-Man there. Oh, actually, there's 4. Ghost Rider, Spider-Man, and then 2 Mars toys down there. So, but those Mars toys look really good. I am impressed with those, more so than the Flashpoint Garter and the Skeleton Knight from Present Toys. That Mars Toys figures were really good. In this room, the 3 statues one more statue downstairs and 2 other 1/10 scale statues. So I have quite a bit of a collection here going so far, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger in the future. And if you made it this far into the video, I highly appreciate you. And if you want to follow my other social medias, the best way to do that is following the links down in the description below. And if you've made it this far in the video and you would like to support the channel, and the best way to do that is liking this video, sharing it with a friend, commenting below, or subscribing if you haven't already, and make sure you hit that bell so you don't miss future Hot Toys unboxing coming in the future, or future collection tours if this is the type of thing you're into and you just want to see the collection, hear more about what I have to say about my collection. But yeah, in the future they won't be so 1 to 50 how I unbox them. They will kind of be more so just the shelves and the collections they're in, and you know, going from Spider-Man to DC to Marvel, you know what I mean, going from like that, rather than going, this was the first one, this was the second, third. I really liked doing that this way. I'm curious to see how this video will come out and if you guys enjoyed it. And make sure you guys go check out the Paul Atreides Dune Inart figure unboxing that came out yesterday. And stay tuned for more unboxings in the future. I can't wait to chat more Hot Toys and Inart figures with you and do some more unboxings for you guys in the future. I've really enjoyed doing this collection stuff and expanding my collection and collecting these figures, unboxing them, taking a closer look at them. It's been a lot of fun over the last couple months doing this. And going into 2026, we're going to try and continue to do it every weekend, 2 every weekend. So stay tuned, y'all. Once again, my name's Big Cam. Thank you guys for making it this far into the video. I highly appreciate it. And I will see you beautiful people in the next video. Peace.